just joined us, still on to Enterprise conversation today, reaching you from Enterprise Television. We'll start with the story we have where we have it. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's camp has reportedly proposed a coalition with the Labour Party leader Peter Obi for the 2027 presidential election. The arrangement suggests that Atiku would run for a single term with Obi as his vice presidential candidate, potentially paving the way for Obi to succeed him in 2031. The coalition aims to capitalize on Atiku's influence in the north and Obi's appeal in the southeast, potentially creating a formidable opposition force against the ruling All Progressive Congress APC. However, Peter Obi has expressed reservations about such alliances, emphasizing that his focus is on addressing Nigeria's present challenges rather than engaging in power-sharing agreements. He has stated that any coalition should prioritize the nation's welfare over political ambitions. The proposal has elicited mixed reactions among political stakeholders and the public, with discussions centering on the feasibility and implications of such a coalition in the current political landscape. Let's get talking. As they have with us Barrister Vansofeli and Innocent Aduluba. I'd love to start with you again, Barrister Vansofeli. What's your take on this? Because it's this is the only antidote, possibly, to getting Bola Ahmed Tinubu out of the way.
Well, but Peter Obi's consideration is quite different from what the proposal or those who are making the proposals are talking about. Peter Obi is talking about that this whole coalition should be about Nigerians. It should be for the betterment of the people as against political ambition
of individuals.
But you and I know that Atiku's issue, Atiku's own is about his political ambition. He does not live in Nigeria.
How sure are we really?
Yeah, I know Atiku very well. Atiku does not believe in Nigeria. What he wants to do, he wants to be president, just like Tinubu and Buhari. Just want to be president. Every other will be an afterthought. That's why, and Peter Obi know. That statement Peter Obi is making is the old man's way of advising another old man. You don't advise an old man
directly,
expressly. He said, coalition should be about the welfare of the people. Because he knows that Atiku's position is not about anybody's welfare. It's not about anybody's welfare. It's about his ambition. So it's a very wrong chemistry, in as much as it has a potential. So, I mean, in the last election, put the two votes together. They won the election. Yeah. If you put two of them, two of them appeal to different sentiments. Yes. So they can actually use that to knock off Tinubu. But for me, in my estimation, by my frame of reference, they should swap it, turn it around. Yes. Atiku should run as the vice or the running mate. Yes. If Atiku is a true statesman who believes in this country and who would rather yield for younger person, Atiku will be how many years in...
but Atiku can make the argument that he has been vice before.
Vice President. So how would it look?
Yeah, if he has been vice before, the law did not say he cannot be vice again. He's president. That you cannot be more than 8 years.
No, not the law. His persona. His personal ambition.
I'm going somewhere. If he's a true statesman, what he ought to do is to bring out somebody in the north that is sellable. Then guide them. Okay, then call his supporters.
Under the PDP.
Yes. Call his supporters to support this person, and they will be. If he's a true statesman, that's what the statesman will do. He will look at the country. Atiku's not looking at the country. And that's what Obi is saying indirectly. That this is your coalition. What is it about? Is it about, because if it's about the people, Atiku will not insist. that he must be the one that they tried it before and they failed.
Both of them.
They've done it before, yes. They did it and it didn't work. Before Obi now took a step out of PDP. You understand? Like somebody did the analysis that when Atiku happened to PDP, it created the weakest problem. I don't know if you saw that analysis. A-class analysis. And he said that weakest problem is now the behemoth that will finally bury the PDP. So, Atiku should not happen to PDP again. It should not happen to PDP. Because if it happens to PDP, it's going to create another kind of problem.
And we don't know how it was.
Maybe that one will now consume Obi and the rest of them. So maybe Obi should remain in his... but the danger of Obi remaining in his Labour Party risk Tinubu happening to Nigeria again.
Everything is happening.
And that one, that political calculus is also another danger. Because you need so many other mathematical and political formulas. Political algebra, political simultaneous equation, political all kind of formulas to deal with that issue. So at the end of the day, what you have is Atiku's proposal is not a bad one, but is it people driven? Is it altruistic? Is it altruistic? If we displace Tinubu and have Atiku, is it a way forward?
Well, lots of people will say we get to the bridge, then we cross it.
That's how we cross into Tinubu. That's how we cross into Tinubu. So, I mean, the risk, you see, that is why you see every time politics is coming close, they use the candidates to neutralize your PVC.
Well, Innocent Ajuluba, this seemed to be more like a home run for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Don't you think so? Whichever way it goes.
There was a time we had that conversation here, and I said it looks like very debatable. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a name that divides Nigerians. That is a name that divides opinion. Tinubu is a man many people hate to love, love to hate. But the way things are looking, unless there is that right coalition that clicks, the APC will run in unopposed like Usain Bolt. The APC are looking unassailable. Meanwhile, I will say they are where they are because of the absence or weakness of the appropriate opposition. Because if the APC are giving the opposition a lot of Achilles heel to work with, but there's no opposition to grab them up. And in a democracy of a multi-party system like ours, it is that one party checks the other. One party checks the other. Look at that lame narrative we hear across the media that come 2027, the APC will win because governors are decamping into the APC. And I want to say that this is, I won't even go by political calculus and all that, foolish analysis. If 4 governors they come to APC, they cannot win. 4 governors for me approximates 4 votes on election day.
Yes, that is theoretical.
That's assuming it's on merit.
And then I'm just saying foolish. 4 of you left point A and went to point B. You've grown that number by 4. The corrupt analysis, we now assume that because the governor of one state joined this party, everybody in that state will now vote. I don't know. And then to that extent, the lame logic has it that with this personal interest defection, this party must now win over sweeping. I don't think so.
But that has always been our reality, except for 2023, when Obi actually dislodged that notion. Okay, we saw states where he won, where he wasn't. It wasn't a Labour Party endorsed state where he won. So I would love to think that the reason lots of people have concluded that when a governor moves to the opposition, the whole state moves along with it. So don't you think
I would dislodge that. When the governor moves at the primaries, and it will be conflict for some of these parties in the wake of election. We are 2 years, in fact, we are 1 year away from active political campaign activities. Take a state that was another party before. The governor has now come to APC. The APC structure in that state already had people gunning for this or that before your defection, including senators, including members of House of Reps. So there will be the conflict of horse trading. We don't know how smooth that can be. I suspect that there will be implosion, that some of these, let me use the word decampaigns, may even be returning in the long run. But on Obi's case, Obi seemed to be the man Nigerians masses from nowhere. I was on a research team in 2022 on the top 10 candidates for election. For 6 months, Obi was not in it. But by the 7th month, we had him at number 8. And by the following week, he shot to number 1. And we were worried. Of course, we were in a room doing research. But we could see it had a telling effect on the election. And a lot of people are alluding that Obi's total volume of votes may have been decimated.
Yeah. Well, it's been concluded, though it's not really there that
Not
he actually
empirical.
that he took
and
15 million votes.
Yes, and the evidence are there in our beavers choosing to recognize senators and governors and refusing to recognize presidential votes. I don't know if that inanimate object has that capacity. For Atiku, I think I won't say much. My opinion is what Barrister said. I would think Atiku is already an octogenarian now.
Atiku should be calling for political merger.
Yes, Atiku for me
Why is it?
should lead that vanguard that we are PDP. The APC is a party, is a shaky party. The APC, this is next week or thereabout, President Tinubu's administration will be 2 years old. The APC are yet to appoint heads of embassies. I don't know if I'm wrong. Whatever it is yet to get to that appointment, as it were. The APC has, we are in food crisis. There's a new nomenclature called food inflation. There are dissatisfactions here and there. The PDP, through Atiku's call, for instance, let's gather. The PDP can even woo the Labour Party, can woo literally Accord or whoever, whichever, can even woo your Kwankwaso, if you ask me, before APC gets there. And then possibly front Obi, who creditably was the largest winner in the last election, because at that time he was a newbie. He was nobody in quote politically compared to Atiku and Tinubu, but he could pull that weight. You plant him at the top and look for someone you can pack to him with a large northern followership, and then you people mobilize your northern grassroots. This is where we are going. But that I don't know. And Obi has just one simple acronym. He's gearing for production, not consumption. I don't know if that's the mantra from the Atiku camp.
Yeah, and if you look at the political climate, there's a whole lot of dissatisfaction in the land. Do you know that in Abuja yesterday, people were climbing billboard, Tinubu's billboard for 2027, because Abuja and the whole of Abuja is littered with campaign for Tinubu 2027.
So early.
You didn't see it in the social media. People were climbing billboard that were touring, you know, billboards and all that. You know what I mean by billboard?
Yes, of course.
Not even posters. They climb a billboard.
Electronic billboard.
Not electronic billboard.
Okay.
This flex billboard
Okay.
to tear down the flex banners and the rest of that. So we are seeing that ongoing. The level of tension in the land, this particular administration, we've never had it like this before. Never in the history of Nigeria. Never. So it goes to a boiling point. Now, that kind of dissatisfaction, the PDP ought to cash on it.
You know.
But they're unable to do that. Look at what Atiku is doing now. He's asking that Peter Obi should come so that they will why can't you call for merger? Don't just believe that PDP alone. Call for merger. Then when you have that merger, develop a template, push somebody. That's a strategy Tinubu use. You don't have to be president now or thereafter. You don't have to. Get somebody who is sellable. Tinubu did it. He did a merger, brought Buhari. Buhari was sellable in the north. Had gotten huge number of votes consistently for,
just like Obi has just done now.
So that's why put Obi there, put somebody there, pull them through
and support and canvas.
Let them first of all change the order of power. Then we'll now talk about what will be for you or not for you.
All right,
Atiku should step into PDP proper. It's not there.
Now, when we'll talk about either flying the PDP or another party, but of course the PDP is the best choice for opposition right now in Nigeria. But how can we really make progress with the PDP, with someone like Nyesom Wike, who is deeply in charge of the PDP to some extent? He said most recently that he would only support the PDP if the presidency is zoned to the south, because we all know why he's saying that. If it is zoned to the south, possibly Tinubu has a field day. So do you think the PDP would really be capable of dislodging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu if, according to Nyesom Wike, the PDP zones its presidential candidate to the south?
It's a certain trap for the people. But whichever way you look at it, if they zone to the south and bring Peter Obi, Peter Obi is still appealing in a way to the north.
Really?
Yes.
Not the entire north.
Which part, of course, yes. That's one of
not the entire north. I mean, the northwest is out of it.
Yes. The northeast, possibly.
And north central.
Yes. So
not central might
north
be
central is
appealing to him. Yes.
For him.
But northeast, northwest.
The northwest is completely not going to. The northwest is dangerous. They have 7 states.
Yeah.
And there's a way they vote. They vote in block. Their vote is not, say, you get this party get this, then this party get this party get this, just this party. That's how they do. So even if you need to operate the 24% of 25 states, which you're required to be a president, 2 regions cannot make it. You have to negotiate the 3rd one. Okay, with the adverse party. So that 3rd one you have to negotiate will not be the northeast. So the main work now will not be in the northeast. Since they are tactically heavily Christians too, yes. Taraba, Adamawa, and Gombe, Borno. So you're able to use that religious to also pull part of it. Do serious work in the northeast. That's the only way Obi can clinch it. Because what Wike want to do is to use that to sabotage his own party to favor get appointment again in the PDP. And I don't know why they cannot discipline him. He walks into their meeting at will, walk out, nobody can talk to him. He contributes to what they're saying, he takes all their strategy back to APC. And they're watching him. So I don't know that PDP is serious. There's something they call anti-party conduct. You understand that? If you are found playing anti-party politics, you can be penalized. But they are unable to wield the stick on him. And then the party,
even if they've done that to the former Senate president, one of the former Senate president that was expelled from the party for engaging in anti-party activities. But let's take this on.
The thing is. I've said it before, the PDP should help Minister Nyesom Wike settle in APC and shut their door. So you can know who are your friends. Because whoever is not for you is against you.
Well, if he's not willing, how are you going to help him to settle?
Exactly.
Is it to be willing? You've just mentioned anti-party conduct. You've just mentioned... So you apply your rules.
But the foot soldiers, they've all infested, his foot soldiers are all running the PDP, starting from
yes, but
chairman.
Like we all know, the best way to deal with a snake is to cut its head. So, as we speak, is the PDP proud of Minister Nyesom Wike as their member? is Wiki making them proud daily? I looked at a recent meeting they had recently, and I saw big names. Senator Bukola Saraki, Tambuwal, big names.
Those are the party's faithfuls.
So,
but why they are not unable to, because truly also, they are not able to talk to Wiki because Tambuwal, for example, cannot talk to Wiki because of what happened the last time.
Okay.
You understand? Where he
ceded his.
Yeah, at the last minute.
Yes.
So they used to be very high.
No, but whatever the situation, if Minister Wiki flouts PDP rules,
yes, he
can't
should
he
be penalized.
So that's what I mean by
the National Working Committee. Some of them are subservient to Wiki.
But are their rules blurred? Are their rules not clear?
Their rules are not blurred, but they are suffering from what they call political obscurantism.
Correct.
They are blurred. They cannot see professionally again. When you are partisan and you are feeding from the said enemy that you asked to go and fight.
Because I would conclude by saying that the People's Democratic Party remaining like this are doing Nigerians injustice.
It's a dangerous place to be.
If they are doing Nigerian injustice,
PDP have no focus as they are rudderless.
If Nigerians are groaning like this party is killing us, so there is no alternative for the poor person to say, okay, next election we won't vote this.
It is that weakness that even made them to lose in 2015. That weakness. They became weak. They had been there for too long. They became used to power. Became very weak, unknown to them that they are weak. So till date, I mean, the infighting even among them is still ongoing. So when are they going to put their house in order? When are they going to look at how prepared the APC are already? As if election is next week. They are already.
Despite all the messes around,
they are everywhere. Everywhere.
Well, lots of people might disagree on that because they have concluded it's still superficial. There's still lots of issue with the APC, but there is this
which issue or not PASA issue.
The issue of really, agreeing with themselves and
I was going to ask the
skirmishes here and there.
I know it's the anchor that asked us because I was going to ask the anchor.
No, please do. You can.
Can you from today point at one party that can withstand the APC, right?
Well, what we have here from the report is this report we have here that African Democratic Congress might be the party the coalition would love to work with. And according to that particular report, yes, that both recent developments show that Obi has accepted to be Atiku's running mate, and Atiku has also agreed to serve a single 4-term and hand over to the former Anambra State governor under the African Democratic Congress. So when it seems like PDP might not work, don't you think this really could be?
Atiku will not hand over any power. If that didn't work, that thing we are saying, Atiku will not hand over any power to anybody.
Because they said actually putting pen to the paper.
Yes. They did not put pen to paper
earlier on.
So can you go to court and legislate that? Can litigate it? Litigate it that we agree on term, on tenure. We agree on tenure as what? Are you the electors? So it's not something you can enforce. So that agreement cannot be enforced. You can't go to court and say we agree that you do 1 term. The court will have no jurisdiction because it's not you that determine the distance. It's a moral, what do you call it? It's a moral agreement that you are supposed to keep. It's a gentleman agreement.
It doesn't bind the masses.
Yeah, it doesn't bind the masses.
So
it's within the political party.
It's not entirely national.
So how are you going to, if Atiku, let's say they succeed now, and after the first time Atiku refused to, he will now tell you that he didn't say so.
What I may suggest, if my theory is, the PDP should rid themselves of Wike and then zone it to the south. Without the Wike, and possibly they lobby this Obi to come and run with their ticket and then use all their national clout to back it and woo other, let me use the word, small parties out there.
Yeah, you need a merger.
so that they will coalesce
solidify
into something big that can withstand the incumbent. That's the theory I will propose to them.
That is what they ought to do. But that's not what Atiku is saying. And that's why Obi is telling him that this thing is for Nigerians. It's not political ambition. Atiku just want to be a president. That's just it. The other thing is an afterthought.
It will be on the CV
that was a president. And that's not what Nigeria need at this time.
No, we are looking for redemption.
But sadly, we are in between the devil and the deep blue sea.
That is what
so where do you think we should pan
the
towards?
political calculation is very volatile. Given the
sensitive.
kind of given the interest and that you really don't have, the people really don't even have a choice. You see this scheming here and there is to pull enough interest to the center. You understand? But Nigerians will have to watch over INEC. They have to watch over INEC. INEC is a behemoth. INEC have no interest of Nigeria at heart.
Someone said INEC is now INEC political party on its own.
Yes, look at them in court during the Obi and Tinubu's case.
Hearing,
They were in court like they were arguing, tendering document that APC won. You're supposed to be a nominal party. Just tell the court what you did during the election.
And stand by.
And still, they were arguing the case. They got SN to argue case.
So that was if people say there's now INEC political party now.
So, I mean, a nominal party should just tell us how they conducted the election, provide all the documents, and not be partisan. They were partisan.
Like I said, the masses are in for it. The masses cannot cite the hope for their redemption. A strong opposition party rescues the masses when the incumbent party is failing.
Yes.
But as it is, from where I started, barring anything meaningful happening, the APC are racing to clinch 2027. So they need that. Read the PDP of Obi, of Wike, then put Obi as your candidate, then canvass nationally, then the same Labour Party, they would have coalesced with the PDP at the time, who influential people in pockets of places, and now have a measure that may, to some credible extent, confront the APC.
Because if Tinubu happens to Nigeria again, for the second time.
I've been saying that. What should we do?
If we see each other, we will recognize each other again. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, scary
of course, it said that when he's done with Nigeria, that was from Senator Godswill Akpabio, that when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is done with Nigeria, people would not recognize the country again. Well, he was stating that, hoping that, of course, he was stating that, hoping it will be for good, but 2 years down the line, it's not looking the same way. Unfortunately, the parties we have are no longer parties of ideology, rather a party of self. And those who run it are rather more concerned about themselves rather than Nigeria and the Nigerians. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being here.
Very well.
I appreciate you. All right, people, that's just the time we have. I'd love to say thank you to you for making the picture complete. I love to believe you enjoyed our show just like we did right here on Enterprise Television. Please do well to visit us if you may. You can always find us to read up on everything we've talked about today. When you see us at enterprisetvnews.com, also rewatch if you may when you visit us at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Hello there. Thanks for staying put with Enterprise TV, where we hold the tradition of truth. It's your usual program, The Middlemen of Jurors, where we dissect the uncomfortable truths, amplify the voices you don't hear enough of, and put the powerful where they belong, right under the spotlight. This is not just another talk show, it's a courtroom of conscience, and today we are holding the system accountable one case At the time, my jurors and I are here with our groundbreaking cases. Our esteemed juror from Rabbi will be presenting a case titled The Paradox of Happiness. Juror Henry Igwebike would be looking into the life of one of the nation's patriarchs in his case titled Gowon, Villain or Hero. Juror Emeka Madunago is here with a case titled Nigeria, a country of forced errors. And I, Juror Innocent Aduluba, will be asking a question. My case is titled, Are Armed Forest Guards the panacea to terrorists or insecurity in Nigeria? All of these cases and more are coming your way right on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. My case. Are armed forest guards the panacea to terrorist or insecurity in Nigeria? Recently, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the establishment of forest guards and commencement of their employment to secure the 1,129 forests in Nigeria. The president has directed that the forest guards are to be well trained and armed to perform their duties, which is essentially to flush out terrorists and criminal gangs hiding inside the forest for criminal activities. The recruitment is a security collaborative effort between the federal and state governments. I am concerned, and my worry is that this may fail from the beginning if trained and armed guards are posted interstate. Perhaps because of trust deficits and the primacy of Fulani headsmen as the largest suspects, each state should recruit only their indigents to protect their people and their forests. Again, are drones scarce or underutilized in every local government area in Nigeria? Drone surveillance offers numerous benefits, including real-time monitoring, cost effectiveness, enhanced safety, and improved situational awareness. Only recently, there is a viral video of Nigerian soldiers being tortured and killed blatantly by the bandits. So, are there no drones to recce the bandits' hideouts? Why are Nigerians, celebrated army across West Africa and the world, playing catch-up for nearly 15 years in our own country? My verdict, please, Nigerian government should halt every terrorism and insurgency at once. With all sincerity, we have the capacity. The unsightly and gory pictures and videos are an insult to our collective sensibilities. Gentlemen.
Well, very well. This is a very important case, given that it's a case that strikes the chord of our corporate existence. I mean, forest guards, okay, the way we're having the formation, is it really going to work based on your case? Like you suggested, it would have been better that we have it state by state, right? People will be able to guard their own forests and their own people because of the deficit of trust that we have. That if you make it a national issue, what I mean national issues, if you want to make it, because we like to federalize things. Yes, we federalize, centralize things, and at the end of the day, we fail in the way we go about it. Meanwhile, we have a state approach, a regional approach, where every community they know the bad guys, they know the good ones, they know people who are the strangers and all that. So from security formation, we can actually make use of, just like they say, police is local. I think security is also local.
It is.
Yes. So let people in their respective community, the federal government should deploy these resources across this community, provide enough incentive, and let the communal people manage and guard their own communal space. That's what I think the solution is. But because we like to federalize things, and then we like to also nepotize it, before you know that nepotism will come in. The people who will be recruited will now be, senators will now be bringing slots. And then I said, my slot, this one slot, that one slot. On security matter. On security matter. So we must, I don't know when the federal government will learn. Okay, I don't know when, but it's unfortunate that they come up with good policy, they come up with good ideas, but at the end of the day, they will now hang it on the altar of federalization, centralization. And at the end of the day, it will not trickle down to really address the main issue it is conceived to address. Then before you know it, those who are supposed to be protecting the people will turn against them, like the police we have today. There's no policeman on the street today that is out there to protect any citizen. As we speak now, Nigeria currently, none of them is out there to protect any citizen. They are out every day for their daily bread. Is that how to run a country? Is that how to police a society with this kind of population? Not just an ordinary population, hungry population. So, I mean, we need to do better.
Yes, yes, I think this is another proliferation of security agency yet again. The NSCDC was actually set up for this kind of issue.
Yes.
Ensure that our community is totally safeguarded. Ensure that, you know, all the rubricals and places where the police force cannot get to, the NSCDC are supposed to be there. They're like the neighborhood watch, always there in our forests, in our streets, the communities, black spots,
Pipeline.
you know, pipeline and all that. Bring in intelligence, feed them to the police, and it can be shared, you know, along so that they can all come together and solve the problem. But because we have woefully failed from every security agency, from the Nigerian police to the army to the DSS to the every single one of them have failed. So we keep thinking that proliferation of agencies every other day is the solution, but obviously it is not. Before you know what would happen now, these same forest guards will start guarding the chiefs and the kings of the communities that they were supposed to even protect in the first place. You know, I would love to believe state governments on their own have done as much as they could with the allowing adoption of vigilantes to take care of these things. And some vigilantes have been doing awesomely well, like the one in Edo State. After the Urumi, you know, kicking in and all, you know, what did what was the name, Obebelo do? He wanted to disband the vigilante, and up until today, some of them are still complaining that the way he's going about them is not very good enough and all. So the question now is, with these forest guard people and the vigilante and the Nigerian police, won't it be a conflict of interest at the end of the day? So why not let's go back to what it used to be before? Ensure that our Nigerian police force do the work of policing, because if they do the work of policing, then things would get better. In my community where I come from, we only just have one police post. Before all of this IPOB and ESN thing, in that particular community, everyone respected that police post. Every single person respected that police post, because if anyone commits a crime, he knows and he is very sure that that one single police post, may be manned by just 4 policemen, were able to safeguard a community of over 800 people. But because they have watered down their value, their symbolic value that they have, nobody considers them any longer. In my community now, we have people who call Omoma, okay, safeguarding our forest. But of course, they are in loggerhead with the security. So every single weekend, the army go there to make bombardment, a retaliation of one thing or another is always ripped all over the place. So I think this is another proliferation and wastefulness of resources that should have gone to the Nigerian police force.
Yeah, but we have forest guards now. They have been there for decades now, for so many years. So what forest guards is the president talking about? And I think the Land Use Act vests, you know, trusteeship of lands in Nigeria in the governors. So what is the business of the federal government with the forests, except those places where mining is taking place? I think the clamor should be more of restructuring. Let's restructure this federation. Hand over all those resources to the states. Then let states work out
arrangements for securing them. You see, this over-centralization and over-dependence on Abuja is what is really keeping this country, in the throes, in the doldrums of poverty, and what is making us unable to actualize our fullest benefits. You can imagine how many people will leave Lagos and go back to their states, get jobs in security and others, if you restructure this federation. That's, for me, is a better way to look at it than to talk about just federal police. You are still over-centralizing the federation. We should restructure this federation. It is just getting so annoying. Now the North has agreed for state police. Let's see. Let's hope that the National Assembly will pass the state police bill into law so that we can start from there.
Okay. Much said about it. The debate continues. My take is you don't transfer somebody from Owerri, this federal guy, to go and be working in Akure. Let it be localized and avoid over-centralization. As we go on this break, to return, Jiro Evans will be telling us or educating us on the paradox of happiness. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Please stay with us.
Welcome back to the middleman of Juros. Thank you for staying tuned. My case, the paradox of happiness. The hedonic treadmill is a fascinating psychological concept that reveals a paradox inherent in our pursuit of happiness. No matter how much we strive for joy through achievement, possessions, or experiences, we often return to a baseline level of happiness. This phenomenon suggests that major life events, whether positive, like landing a dream job, winning a lottery, or negative, such as experience a significant loss, have a limited and temporary impact on our overall sense of happiness. Over time, individuals adapt to both their joys and their sorrows, often leading to the conclusion that the pursuit of happiness, if seen as a destination, may be a futile endeavor. Reflecting on the implication of this concept, it becomes evident to me that chasing happiness as a primary life goal can lead to a frustrating circle of striving without fulfillment. When we constantly pursue happiness, we may find ourselves in an endless loop, setting new goals, dreaming of the future achievements or accomplishments, and believing that once we achieve these milestones, we will finally feel fulfilled. Yet, when we achieve our goals, the joy is often fleeting. The anticipation, excitement, and satisfaction of winning a major award or reaching a personal milestone quickly gives way to a return to our baseline happiness level. This can lead to feelings of emptiness as we start to seek out the next big thing to chase after. The irony of this pursuit is that the more we chase happiness, the more it ends to elude us. We may become exhausted by this never-ending race, feeling as though our lives are revolving around the next big achievement rather than the moment that truly matters. This exhaustive chase can divert our focus from enjoying the richness of daily life, the simple pleasures, the cherished memories, and the subtle nuances of human relationship. When happiness becomes the goal, life can feel like a relentless sprint with no finish line. However, there is a different approach we can take, a shift from chasing happiness to embracing life as it unfolds. When we learn to relax and appreciate the present moment, acknowledging the good, the bad, and the ugly, we often find out that happiness is not a distant, elusive target, but a state that can exist alongside our experiences. By letting go of the relentless pursuit and choosing instead to savor each moment, we cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment. Think about the everyday moment that brings joy, sharing a meal with a loved one, taking a walk in nature, or simply enjoying a quiet moment with a good book. These instances may seem mundane, but can infuse our lives with genuine happiness when we allow ourselves to be fully present. Embracing the entirety of our experience, both the high and the lows, teaches us resilience and gratitude, enriching our lives with ways that the pursuit of constant pleasure never could. Moreover, being present allows us to cherish the journey rather than fixate on the destination. It inspires an appreciation for our unique narratives, which are often composed of failures, pains, joy, and learning. When we acknowledge that every experience is part of a larger tapestry of life, we can let go of the need for everything to be perfect and instead find value in the messiness of existence. My verdict: the hedonic treadmill challenges us to reconsider our approach to happiness. Rather than chasing it, we can cultivate a mindset that celebrates the present moment, accepting life's up and down. By doing so, we may find that happiness is not a fleeting achievement, but a steady companion throughout our journey, enriching our lives in meaningful ways. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Well, this is a beautiful, beautiful look at what life really means. If life was all about money, if happiness was all about money, then the rich, there wouldn't be the need to say the rich also cry. I know of a family, billionaire family in Nigeria today. The father and his children are in court, fighting over the company their father founded. Company made billions into oil and gas and all that, but they are fighting in court today. This is a family that people will envy. I wish my father was as rich as this. But would anybody wish to be in court with his father, fighting for family's property? So, and there are cases like that here and there. Is it the poor? Does poverty give happiness? Then you just find out all of these things are just fleeting, like the narration has, stated. So that means there is something deeper we should attain, we should strive for, beyond just happiness, maybe coming from having a cold beer or, a fleeting achievement, I think it really x-rays a lot about what happiness is. Well, the conversation continues.
Okay, well, life, I watched a movie and I was surprised the young couple in love, and they told each other, let's make memories. I've never heard of that before. I thought memories when something happens, you stay where you are and think back. So that it dawned on me that it is what you make joyful now. You can remember happily after.
Yeah, never after.
Last night too, I was reading around 1:30 a.m. and the person also said, let's make happy memories. This time around, I wasn't taking off that. I was cool. So happiness are in moments of little things done well, done right, or tackled well, head on, for possibly the desired solution or objective. Unfortunately, this kind of presentation from Rabbi, I think some of us will have to start seeking Rabbi, not him alone. If it was from the book, and you are selling it in a place like Nigeria, you won't sell.
Yeah.
So abstract.
Yeah, it's very abstract and
disconnect.
Nigerians will tell you anyhow,
It
has-
anyhow where we
it has
see
the
am,
vintage-
can make we
social
take am.
reality.
Yeah. It has the vintage appeal.
Yes, if you put this, let me say it, maybe in Senate-like developed world, somebody will pause to leave what they are doing and digest and read
Yeah.
again.
In fact, you have to go through it more than once
Yes,
to
a lot of
properly
value.
interpret.
Yes.
Yes, very, very, very true. And actually, this reminds me of Steve Jobs when he was about to die. He actually died with a net worth of 7 billion as at the time. He should be one of the richest men then. At the time he was dying, he said the only thing that kept him comfortable on his dying bed were the clicks of the machines that were always with him. He got so used to them that they were looking like somebody was actually having a conversation with him. At that point, he declared that there's actually no difference between a $30,000 wristwatch and a $300 wristwatch because they all say at the same time. You know, and for anyone that cares to, you know, go through that and read through what he had said in his last days, you know, should be like a clarion call for everyone. There's this a movie I actually watched, Jennifer Lopez, I guess. She starred in one particular movie where she was told she had about 2 weeks to die. She had cancer or something. So it was said she had only just two weeks to die. In fact, that 2 weeks was the best 2 weeks of her life. She spent it, went around the world, enjoyed what she was afraid of, went for skydiving, all those things that scared her. She went for them. Say, okay, let me just enjoy myself. If I would die, let me die. Just after the vacation and all that, she was told that it was a mistake. It was someone else's result that was given to her. But she felt like that moment was the most blessed moment in her life. You know, and so this is just more like it's poetic at the same time. It's spoken in our faces.
Yes,
You know.
this case I particularly wrote for Lagosians, and many of us who feel that we are not doing well. We should not be preoccupied with the destination of life. We should focus on the moments, because sometimes we are going somewhere and your mind is not even in the journey. Your mind is in the destination. When are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? You walk yourself out. Well, there's a lot to enjoy in the moment, on the way, sightseeing. There are so many things to stay around, so many things to learn, so many things to observe, and so many things to, you know, talk about. But we feel that our life is not complete until we have all the billions, until, in the quest for our excessive focus on the vision, we lose track of the now. We lose track of everything that actually we're supposed to absorb alongside the way, so that at the end of the day we can tell a very good narrative. Take example, there are only few Nigerian millionaires or billionaires that you can ask how they made wealth and they will be able to explain.
Very true. Very true.
Many of them cannot explain it because they were not in the moment. Their focus and fixation was in the arrival, the destination, and we have to make it big, quick, so that we go and show. We can, just all about that. That is why they did a study not too long ago, and they say almost 90% of Lagosians have high blood pressure. That is because it is given I mean, why not? Why not? Because people are not ready for the moment, okay? People are not ready to sit down, relax, absorb the jokes of the time, absorb the moment and all that. They are, no. They are about to hit it big time. And as such, they must be on the run at every point in time. But life is not designed that way. Even Jesus said that he that tried to keep his life will lose it. You understand? The one that tried to gather, you will,
Very deep.
you will, yes, you will lose it. You understand? The one that scattered will find it. You understand? So it's just for, because I noticed that my cases all the while have been on the government's not doing this person is not doing that, there's crisis here. I just, man, this is the week I took JAMB to court. I should be talking about JAMB today, but I said no. I don't want to talk about any JAMB. I want to just sit down, relax, write something that is, easy, talk about life, absorb the nuances of time and the rest of that. And I feel that this is what we must all do and enjoy once in a while. So, Juro Emeka would be here with a case titled Nigeria, a country of false errors, right after this break. Please stay with us.
Thanks for staying tuned. My case, Nigeria, a country of forced errors. Nigeria is a country where the leaders and the people engage so much in a comedy of forced errors. In other words, a land of people who know the right thing to do, but take a different route. When it backfires, the first resort is to find absurd excuses, from justifying to excusing or defending the indefensible. In fact, you hear tales that make you wonder the reasoning capability of the talkers. Name any kind of absurdity and you must find people to justify it, or they deflect attention. If you complain about power supply, somebody might ask you if it's compulsory to use energy. The current scandal is a gross ineptitude of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, in the handling of 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. The Education Minister, without investigating, Dr. Tunji Alausa, without investigating, quickly said the resulting mass failure was a manifestation of its anti-malpractice policy. One of his predecessors said something similar. Go on social media and see a mirage of excuses about what amounts to a national fiasco. My verdict, Nigeria, my country. Let us learn to speak the truth. Nobody's above mistakes we hear, but it's also important to do all you can to avoid glitches. During the collation announcement and announcement of results for the 2023 presidential election, the IREF went off. All these things make us a laughing stock. What a country.
Wow. Well, in fourth error is a term used in the game of tennis, where because of your opponent's batsmanship, you are playing catch up. I mean, if you have the ball and you are to serve and you still miss it, it's now an unforced error. So that application here, it's a direct breaking of our consciousness or conscience. I read a book, I think it's common, 1 week, 1 trouble.
Yes.
And the background character, Wilson Taco, it's always in one of the Wahala he was in, one of the chapters, and the dead offend.
By Cyprian
Equency,
Yeah, the dead can. I remember, I heard there was a pope who died, and his corpse was exhumed. He was tried and flogged.
Well,
Very perfect.
on this case, apart from
So the dead can really offend.
apart from the in this case, there are many good things, like Barrister Alfili said in his case of happiness. He wants to stay away from Nigeria, but it's all over us. It's almost what we cannot do without.
Yes.
There are many lovely opportunities. Look at even the beginning case of armed forest. It's what is in the purview of governors. They waited till the president with it. And we don't know how effective it will be. The destiny of children going for JAM on the threshold of chasing their future dream, see the handling.
No, you know why they waited for the president? So that money will accompany it.
Okay.
There will be a special allocation from the federal
And
government
then
for
the
federal
president allocated centrally would dictate how it will go. And
Yeah. And mess up everything.
The efficacy will be lost.
will be lost.
This is calling on all of us as Nigerians in your rooms, on your streets. Just do things right by doing the right things.
It is the
And then it
aggregation.
trickles to the government.
Yeah, it is the aggregation of rights that builds a nation.
Yeah.
Okay, so look at the case of JAM, for example. When we started complaining, the public outcry, the JAM DG came out and said that no, that they did what they are supposed to do, that this is the outcome. That is the standard and state of the students' capacity to perform. And no, we went off the hook and said no, threats everywhere, public outcry everywhere. He just made a decision yesterday, called his team together and said, let's do a review, perhaps, you know. And just in 2-3 hours they are going to dig deep into the causes and effects of that outcome. They stumbled on a revelation. And he called a press conference and started crying. You know. But earlier on, we said, go and look at this. Because last year's JAM, if you benchmark it with this year's one, you cannot agree with the outcome
At all.
because last year and this year, nothing has changed that has obviated our intellection or the intellection of our children that will make them to have this kind of outcome. If you did not take them through stress, and if you don't have technical glitch and all those things, the outcome cannot be this. There's a boy that did a video yesterday that is scored over 276 last year. And now he scored 155. He told the world that I cannot score 155.
Yes.
You understand? He had a friend who, he was sick on the day of the exam, did not attend the exam. The boy had 300.
Yes, I heard that.
So, I mean, he said,
That's a gift.
so at the end of the day, we said, he went back. Because if there were no public outcry, and if we didn't go to court and some other person didn't threaten, for example, this thing will go like this, okay? But look at the benefit of speaking out. Look at the benefit of being a watchdog in society. It has excavated a revelation that, you know, we're only crying that this couldn't have been, and see where we are today. Now, you compare it with the technical glitch of INEC and the JAM. The difference now is what I want to accentuate. JAM is coming out to make promises. We, in the lawsuit we filed, we're asking JAM to set aside the exam, set it aside, conduct a fresh one. One thing JAM cannot tell me is that they don't have money. They can't tell me that. They can't tell Nigeria that they're generating billions for federal government.
Which they have declared
They are not
every year.
They are not even a revenue generation body.
Good.
So what they're even doing is so I mean, what I'm saying is that they have enough money. Set aside this exam and conduct a fresh one. That's one. Now they're saying that they've reviewed it. It affected a particular region. They're going to go and reprint their photo card and they're going to sit for the exam again. But that's not enough because you are still going to find pockets of here and there. Because this review they did was they hurried, they just rushed. You understand? There are still glitches here and there that must be checked. And the situations under which you took the children through is the issue. Now the comparison. JAM is trying to fix the mistakes. But for INEC made it a permanent mistake.
No remorse.
No remorse. Announced the result in the midnight, in the early hours, wee hours of the morning. And the outcome of that result is what we are living with today. And we're living below our capacity, our earnings, our whatsoever. Our life has never remained the same since the day that result was announced in date. That is why it is important. When you make a mistake, you must go back to the drawing board and correct that mistake or set aside that whole result and do a fresh one. If JAM do not set aside that result, so many people will still be complaining years from now.
From other regions.
Just like we're all complaining about Tinubu till today. So JAM must do something.
Very true. What comes to mind is how effective nature is awesome. It has a way of balancing itself at all times whenever it finds opportunity. What's happening to Jam now reminds me of Mesoma, the young lady from Anambra, that of course falsified her results. I remember what Jam did. This same man, Oloyede, barred this young girl from ever sitting for exams for the next 5 years. Very, very dreadful, yes, way of going about that particular. Now the question is, would this same man equally allow himself go through the same draconian measure he allowed for Mesoma? Because what goes around should come around. If he had allowed that happen to that young lady, he should equally allow it come to.
No, he's crying. He's crying.
Mesoma should just have
cried. Should have cried and
allow
her to sit for.
We're not old enough.
Yes, so what wasn't as good as that of.
This one is crying. He's crying for the optics, so it's for the optics.
Of course, just like Ponde now. The CMD that collapsed.
When he discovered that the allegations were overwhelming and there was no way out, he just stated.
But surprisingly, at the same time, funnily, University of Ilorin, where he was, I think he was the VP.
Vice Chancellor.
Yes. Just sent a letter and said he was a great man. He did well. At least he was accountable.
To UNN.
He was
UNN ASU.
Okay, exactly. So we can see the divide. Some for, some against. Rather than having a uniform voice to call a spade and say this is bad, let's find a way to resolving it. Now, other universities from the southwest might follow suit and equally write letters in defense of this man.
But it's going to backfire because the analogy you gave with the tennis game. Ours is that we deliberately don't even want to do the right thing. We always think in terms of is either black or white. Now the allegations, and I'm happy that about the suit, and then the freedom of information requests that have been made. Because there's an allegation that in Lagos, that those problems came up in 3 local governments, Ojo, Amu, Odofin, and one other local government, that are heavily populated by Igbos. That's an allegation that's still hanging. And then look at the Southeast. I mean, people should be politically sensitive when they do things. Because when people now, when the Southeast has cried marginalization, you say it's not justified. Well, look at your actions. Your actions tend to reinforce that notion. So the thing is that, the case said, Nigerians should learn to speak the truth. The way those in public office, the way they multiply lies, is as if when they hold meetings, Federal Executive Council meetings and other meetings, it's just how to manufacture lies.
But the way the entire story sloped into ethnic issues is one that's very surprising to me. I've been looking at it since morning, and somebody just came up with this narrative that it was targeted at. Are we still here?
Well, you know what led to it? Some people came up on X to say that the head of the ICT,
is an
Igbo man, Mr. Fabian Okoro. So he should be held responsible. But people now came back to say it was one Mrs. B. Usman, a Yoruba woman who is the head of ICT. So the ethnic thing now took off.
And her
from there.
It's not on the website.
It's not on the website. The photos of other officers of JAM are on the website, but her photos. So you see, that is why when I talk about these false errors, because there are so many mischief makers everywhere.
But why is it that this lack of trust? Because
that is it.
I don't want to believe this ethnic thing that somebody will go and, because of ethnicity in JAM for children, will go and mix. I find it very difficult to believe.
It's really absurd. But if care is not taken, you will find out that with this,
who will be doing that? So I think this is shocking, really.
It's shocking. Well, the conversation continues. When we return, Juror Henry will be here with his case titled Gowon, villain or hero? Do stay tuned.
Thank you so very much for being here. My case, Gowon, villain or hero? General Yakubu Gowon recently on an interview said that the 1966, 1983 and annulment of the 1993 elections were truly unnecessary. He stated that several military incursions and stay in office deeply affected the strength of democracy. The catch question on the lips of everyone remains: is General Yakubu Gowon stating the obvious in regret of his many involvements? Initially, Gowon promised a return to civilian rule by 1976. However, on October 1, 1974, he announced an indefinite postponement of this transition, citing the need to address corruption and inflation. This decision led to widespread dissatisfaction among Nigerians who had anticipated a restoration of democratic governance. Secondly, Gowon's regime centralized authority, diminishing the autonomy of regional governments, although he partially lifted the ban on political activities in 1972 to discuss a new constitution. The subsequent debates were curtailed and political dissent was suppressed. This centralization hindered the development of democratic institutions and processes. The period under General Yakubu Gowon saw an oil boom, resulting in increased national revenue. However, the administration faced allegations of widespread corruption and mismanagement of resources. The culmination of these issues led to Gowon's ousting in a bloodless coup on July 29, 1975, while he was attending the Organization of African Unity Summit. His removal reflected the military's dissatisfaction with his leadership and the public's desire for a return to democratic governance. My verdict: General Yakubu Gowon, who led Nigeria from 1966 to 1975, played a significant role in the interruption of democratic governance during his tenure. His administration, though marked by efforts to maintain national unity, exhibited several actions that contributed to the erosion of democratic principle. Is Gowon a villain or a hero?
Well, it's an enigma in this case, and we don't know if these are prelude to him writing his own book writing towards the old age is image.
Do you think he will ever bring out a book?
But I think that there are objective things the general can do. We should be among those who speak publicly, vehemently, against the senseless killings of people in Plateau State. He should speak directly, speak at it. He himself, Senator George Akume, Gabriel Suswan. If you are from a state where they kill, anyhow, be seen to stand in public and condemn the killing, irrespective of your party affiliations or aspiration. Yakubu Gowon, I think he became president and head of states in 1966 in August. And at the time he was 31. 9 years later, at 40, he was ousted. And it's 49 years since then. I cannot put my finger on what the general gentleman has been doing. But for 49 years, of course, he has been envoy, especially.
He has been praying.
And
Nigeria prays.
And I think Nigeria has gone around the circle where some of these people should speak truths that can liberate the country.
But what he's doing now does not amount to truth that can liberate the country, because he is a beneficiary of this military incursion, and he is coming out to say that it was unnecessary, that the long stay of military was unnecessary, whereas he was there for a very long time.
9 years.
A long time, 9 years. Even when he made a projection when the country will return to democracy, he postponed it, okay, and then did all whatnot. So coming to tell us today that his sojourn for 9 years was unnecessary, it's an irony. It's an irony because is it that he's coming to his senses now, or is it that he's regretting his actions? I mean, we're not very clear on what it is, but the long stay was as a result of his own autocratic decision to refuse Nigeria to return to democracy. So those years he expended actually was what drew Nigeria backward, okay? And at that time, when Nigeria had the oil boom and all that, when some Nigerians were out of school, those ones who were out of school at that time are the ones that are the insurgents today, or the ones leading or managing or organizing the insurgency today, okay? So whatever Nigeria is today is as a result of the decisions they took at that time they made. Wrong decisions, undemocratic decisions, and even when we had the oil boom, Nigeria, they didn't know what to do with the resources, they didn't know what to do with the money and all that, and it drew Nigeria backward. So I don't know what to make out of his utterances in this case, because it's neither here nor there. Is he saying this now as a repentant, is he now a Democrat? Or is he saying it as a repentant, what do you call them now, these military people, this military despot, or what do you call it? What exactly is it? What should we do now with this thing he's telling us?
No, the thing is, I say go on. I think he loves to engage in revisionism, in dubious revisionism. Gowon became head of state, after the killing of General Atiku and Colonel Adekunle Faji. Now, one of the reasons they gave was that Ironsi, that he centralized leadership with Decree 34 of 1966. Now, the question, any day I meet Gowon, one question I want to ask him is that you ousted Ironsi on the basis of that decree. Why didn't you restore the regions? You waited to consolidate for 1 year, then the following year, after the Republic of Biafra was declared, on May 30, 1967, you now created 12 states. Why didn't you return power to the regions? You see why I say he's engaging in a strange revision of history. And then, when he's saying the 1966 coup was not necessary, is he trying to pretend about the reasons given by Nzogu in his broadcast about why they struck? Even Major Ademoega in his book, Why We Struck. Is he trying to now say that those reasons were not valid? Because some people have challenged Gowon. Why was there jubilation in some parts of the north when the news came out that the Sadana had been killed? Why? People have asked questions. 1967, the coup was about Araba, separate Nigeria, declare northern Nigeria, until the British High Commissioner at that time, I think, advised them not to go that route, that instead they should talk about Nigeria. Because for some hours after the coup, I understand that Ikeja cantonment, that the flag of Araba, the secessionist flag, was flying at Ikeja cantonment for some hours until Britain advised them, no, don't go that way. Fly the Nigerian flag, take over Nigeria. And then they changed their minds. The third question I would like to ask Gowon is, the Aburi Accord. Why did he not work on implementing the Aburi Accord? He's saying that those coup plots were not necessary. Okay, let's say 1966 was not necessary. Let's say their own counter coup was not necessary. But why did he not implement the Aburi Accord, which actually led to the other coups? Because the Aburi Accord was essentially about restore power to the regions. Because each region had its own template for development. And that is what we are facing today. The crisis of state creation was caused by Gowon. And that is the crisis we are facing in Nigeria today. The regions found their balance. Because all that would have happened. Look at the Midwest. Brilliant. It was a brilliant move, even though it was said to have been done to antagonize Awolowo, who was, I think, in prison at that time. But by excising the Midwest from the Western region, it solved a lot of problems that could have arisen. In fact, maybe that's where the war could have even started earlier. If you remember 1967, when Major Isaac Adakaboro led that 7-day, was it 7-day or 12-day, that 12-day resistance, it was Colonel Chukwuemeka Ojukwu who put it down. And that's one of the reasons why those riverine people in Niger Delta, that's one of the things they have against the Southeast. But these things are not voiced. And that's one of the reasons why they actually sided with the federal troops when they went through, when they went through the sea,
The Cameroonian border.
Yes. So that has remained the major problem. Go and look at the demands, the agreement, the Aburi agreement, the Aburi Accord. We like to engage in just running around issues. The Aburi Accord remains.
And the reason for the state creation was not tenable
at all. Because you said to break the Biafra. But even at that, you have even created more problems.
More problem was created. That's what I'm saying.
Because the regions, look at Midwest. All you needed to do was create another Midwest in the central, in the middle belt. If another Midwest had been created in the middle belt, you called it middle belt, I'm telling you, Nigeria wouldn't be in this crisis today. Because the Christian minorities
would have balanced.
It would have balanced. They would have found their own. And that's why you had Joseph Taka and the rest of them. That's why they kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And it is still the situation today. Because if you look at it, the people who even made it impossible to attain the Aburi Accord are the ones now fighting for recognition. The Fulanis. They are the ones now talking of, let's have a Fulani Federation. The Hausas are the ones now saying, we have been marginalized. We have been neglected. You can see, look at Gowon's place. Pangshin, in Plateau State. Look at Benue. Look at all that is going on. Why? You sold a dog. Is that not how they say? You sold a dog and bought a monkey. And at the end of the day, it was a 4-legged animal. So I think, this case is very important. And we need to come back to it from time to time.
Time to time.
Because
very historical.
Because they think by removing history from the curriculum that Nigerians will not ask questions. But Nigerians are asking questions today. What really led to the civil war? The refusal to implement the Aburi Accord. Then if you now say, okay, that the annulment of June 12 was not necessary, but go on. You said the other time that you had never belonged to a political party. But it's not true because you engaged, you ran for president now in your ward in Kaduna. Now, why didn't you speak up when Babangida annulled the election? We never had Gowon's voice. When Abacha played all the games he did, we never had Gowon's voice. Why did he keep quiet? Why is he talking now? Abiola has said more than 30 years. And he's now saying that was not necessary.
What do we make of what he's saying now?
To me, I think we should ask him questions. Go on. We should list all these things. What did you do about these issues? Because it's this answer, but he won't answer. He won't answer because he will still look for another one. So like Juro Henry said, that is it a prelude to a book? But you see, if you put together things he has said in the last 40 years, you can actually make a book. You just take his quotes here and there. Take his quotes, take the things he has said, including the things he said under Nigeria Praise. A brilliant author or a group of authors can actually make a book.
Very well.
Because truly, Nigerians will be waiting to read that book because
Ojukwu never wrote.
He didn't write anything, So we sincerely hope that
No,
that
it
Yakubu
was
Gowon should.
because I'm involved though. He didn't write anything.
Not him. There are some biographies to him.
No, we're talking about Ojukwu.
Frederick
Ojukwu.
Forsyth.
No, that's a third party narration. We're talking about Ojukwu himself.
The first person narrative.
Exactly. And I think we should equally have a first-person narrative from Yakubu Gowon. He shouldn't go until he writes a book. And I think it's very important that we all get to read that particular book, because history remains and would continue to be with us. But when we understand it better, I think we would make peace with one another. That's a wrap on this session of The Middlemen. Keep the conversation going on all social media platforms when you visit us at Enterprise TV7, and let your voice count. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and have yourself a splendid time. Bye-bye from us.